John, it's time to turn the tables. We've been firing them at you. Fire
Yeah.
some at Chris and I. What do you got for
Well,
us?
that's very fair, you guys. I like that. I come on your show and you still let me ask you guys a couple questions. All right, here's number one. What the hell's going on with you guys losing to Michigan? I don't like this. I really don't like it. Like, you got to get that figured out because it bothers both you guys and me too. Like, we can't let that happen collectively. We, meaning all of college football. We can't let this become a thing. And I know you've noticed their recruiting did take an uptick, and it hurts me to say that, but they're trending up in recruiting right now, and I don't like that. But they're trending up. So, what has gone on the last 2 years, and how do you stop that this year?
Chris, you want to take this one?
Well, I think it comes down to two things. And we've talked about it numerous times on this program, Eric. One, I believe that after the first year, and it came back last year, I think that Jim Harbaugh is inside Ryan Day's head. I also think that a big problem has been just the lack of physicality that we've had the last couple of years. We have not been physical enough to compete with Michigan. The reason being, as you've stated on this program several times, Eric, we are built to compete for national titles. We are built to run with the SEC teams, and Michigan is built to beat Ohio State. That is their goal in life. They may say their goal is a national championship. Their goal is to beat Ohio State. And that's the type of physical team that they've put together. And the last 2 years, the plan's worked and they've handed it to us. I truly think that, as I've said before, for me, this is Ryan Day's last shot. He's got to beat Michigan this year. If he doesn't get his head straight, the players' head straight, and you know come out and beat Michigan, I don't think Ryan Day gets a fourth opportunity. I just don't.
See, that was
We aren't gonna revisit the Cooper years.
man, but see, that was going to be my next question. I wanted to get your thought on that. And then my next follow up question would have been, I hear from people, you're mad about stuff and it's hot seat and this and that. I want to know what is the situation there? Like, you look at last year, for instance, you guys lost that game and it was ugly and whatever, but still, you look at what you almost pulled off in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, that was really close to you guys being able to lose that game horribly, be miserable, and make it all back up. Like, so where does the reality fall of the pressure on Ryan Day, both from your fan base and the administration and those at the university? And I'd imagine maybe those are different answers. Maybe they're not. But I would love to know where the fans are on that and then where you think the decision makers are on that as well.
I would say 25 to 35% of this fan base, after losing 2 straight years in a row, either wanted him out immediately or put him on the hot seat. Like that guy right there. Put him on the hot seat. He said, you don't get a third chance. The administration's a little bit different because they see Ryan Day's success in recruiting. We just had another big weekend. We actually leapfrogged over the team up north in recruiting numbers this weekend. They've seen the success in getting to the college football playoff. They've seen the success of when we get there, we're doing well. Now we haven't won like we did when Urban got there, but we got to the championship. We took down Clemson, which was a monkey on our back. We took Georgia to the absolute limit, had them beat. I don't care what Uncle what's his name says. We had them beat, and he knows it. And I know it's a 4-quarter game. I know we did some things at the end of that game that, gosh darn it, I wish we had back. But Chris is right. We are built to run with those teams. The problem is when you get down in the trenches and you get down to it's a game of inches, right? They're tougher than us right now.
But it wasn't like that for a whole bunch of years up to the last two, and you guys were kicking the crap out of them. So what I want to know is what switched. Was it something on your end that went
Yes,
wrong? Or
very.
was it something on their end that went right? What the hell changed?
Well, yeah, there's two things. Well, first off, COVID happened. And when COVID happened, if we would have played that team up north that year, Jim Harbaugh would have been fired.
Yep.
They sucked.
They got
They were
out of that. Oh, we're too scared. Yeah, they knew what was coming.
and then he changed his mentality. He said at the Big Ten media days, we're either gonna beat them or we're gonna die trying, and that was their entire mindset. And our mindset, we got soft. We just got soft. We took on Ryan Day's personality a little bit. And Urban Meyer, when he came in, he said, I don't care what we do, we will not lose to that team. And Ryan Day's not a Buckeye. He's from the Northeast. And so it's not inbred in him. Like you talk to Marcus Freeman, you ask that question to Marcus Freeman, I guarantee you he will give you a more passionate answer about the hate of that team up north than our current head coach does. I promise you. Chris, go ahead.
And here's the other thing, and you mentioned it. We moved on from Urban's players to Ryan Day's players at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we had a few guys like Justin Fields who Day was responsible for bringing in, but he was still running Urban's players.
Yeah.
When we started losing to that team up north is when we had Ryan Day's players in there in the trenches.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're answering my question, and I, you know what else I think a part of it is with the whole Michigan thing, with the way they play and the recruiting. I think him kind of putting to bed the constant worry he's going to jump to the NFL had to help stabilize everything. I wish he would have just left and I could be done with that weirdo. He's a weirdo. You can look at the guy. There's something going on. He's not normal. He's a loon. The guy is wacky, but you know what? Those guys play hard for him and they push people around a lot of times. And I respect that. But it's just really hard to watch. It's really hard to watch. And like some of their schedule this year, their schedule.
Oh my gosh.
You guys. Don't even get started
their
on the
first
schedule.
Game is the second week in November against Penn State. Then they play you guys. It's a 2-game season. They're gonna skate. And we're both gonna have to listen to them running their mouths every single day. It's a joke. They paid to get out of their non-conference Power 5 contracts to go play the Ann Arbor high schools. It's a joke. So they don't
Alabama
play a real
North.
game till November 11th.
Alabama North. They belong in the SEC with their schedule.
D-Rock Irish says, has Day turned over all his OC calling duties entirely to Heartline, or is it a combo effort? So, D-Rock, great question. I believe, according to my feelers that I have out there, that this is going to be a combination. He is not going to give the entire play calling over to Brian Hartline. Brian Hartline's never called plays before. And so I think it's going to be kind of like, we'll see how it goes a little bit at a time. And if things go really well, maybe by the end of the year or the beginning of next season, you'll see Brian Hartline, the full-time play caller. I will be absolutely floored, D-Rock, if we come game one and Brian Hartline's calling all the plays all the time. I just don't think Ryan Day can let that go that easily. That's his bread and butter, and he's great at it. He's a good play caller for the most part. He didn't show it against the team up north last year, but he came right back against Georgia and called a heck of a game against them. So
until it counted most, Eric.
Until the last 3 plays.
Let me ask you a question about Ryan Day's perspective of all this. I think of this. Where do you think Ryan Day falls on this? Is he thinking this isn't good enough? I know I can't lose to Michigan like this. It's a bad look. Or is he thinking, what do these people want? I almost got us to the championship, even though we lost that game. I'm winning a lot of games. We're in the top 5 in recruiting every single year. What do you people want from me? Like, I wonder where he's at with this.
I think he knows. I really think he knows. He's come out and said as much that he knows. He said 11 a few years ago. He said 11-1 and a Rose Bowl victory is not good enough for this team.
Yeah.
He knows what's expected, and there's just some disconnect there right now that it's not getting done. I really hope it gets done. I think he's got the potential to be great, but I also would be the first one in line to give him a boot to the backside if he doesn't beat him this year.
Yeah. And I wonder if there's, even if it isn't from the administration, I wonder if he gets a little bit of that Brian Kelly in him with, like, I'm not being appreciated for what I am doing here, and looks elsewhere. Like, would you be shocked if he took an NFL job or did something else like out of the blue? Or do you not think that's something that would be realistic with him?
I don't think he would jump quickly. Do you, Eric?
No, okay. So here's a little inside baseball. I actually live in the same county as him, and my wife teaches in the same school district as his children go to.
Look at
He's
you,
a
inside information. I like this.
he's a family man. He does not want to pull his kids from school and drag them all over the country.
Well, then you're in the wrong business, buddy, because that's what happens to every coach. Let's be
and
real.
that's what he said. He said when he got this job, he goes, "I'm tired of dragging my family all over the country." And so I think he is here for the long haul until the kids graduate, if he can keep his job. And that's really the question here, because if he thinks it's bad now and he loses a third time, I don't care if we go 11-1, get in the college playoff again.
Yeah.
If he loses 3 in a row, the heat from this fan base is going to be massive. And here's why, John. It's because we have freaking standards. Our standards are to beat the team up north, win the conference, and go to the college football playoff. That's the standard here. That's the standard that Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer and Woody Hayes, long before them, put in place. And he knows that's the standard, because when he was introduced as the head coach, he said, I know my job here is to first beat that team up north and then win every game after that. Those are his words, not mine. He knows the standard. We're not going to lower the standard as a fan base because a few people out there want to be nice. Sorry, Kirk Herbstreit. Don't mean to offend you. He called us a bunch of jackass because we're too hard on Ryan Day. We don't really understand football. No, we have standards. And if those standards aren't met, I don't care if you're the Pope. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
We have St. Woody here in Columbus. You've got to win that game. You cannot lose 3 in a row. There's pressure here.
Now wait though. All right, I agree with all that, and I share. We are bonding here over that mutual hatred over those people. Like I am. I mean, they married their siblings. It's just a bad deal. I don't like them at all. All right, but is the grass always greener on the other side? Like, it is easy to say. It is very easy to say, oh, I don't care if you go 11-1, but if you lose that one or whatever, you got to go, whatever. It's very easy to say that. Do you have an inclination of what the plan would be? Is it Hartline's time because he's a great recruiter? Like, what do you do?
No way.
Do you have any idea of where that would go? I don't quite think Freeman is mature enough and maybe ready for that deal, because that's another question that comes up with us. But do you have any idea where that would go? Because you got to be careful what you wish for on these type of deals.
And I think that last year it would have been easier than it will be this year, because last year there was still the availability of Luke Fickell before he came on to Wisconsin. Luke Fickell going to Wisconsin threw a major wrench in this. And as much as I say I'd be willing to put my foot on his backside for losing again this year, and we've talked about this before, Eric, where would we go? Who would we get?
Yeah.
We might have to ride this out a year or two yet. And I don't see doing it. I don't want to do it. If he loses again, I would love to see him out there. But we might have to actually suck it down. And unless you're willing to bring Urban Meyer back as an interim for a couple years, which, you know what? I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on Urban Meyer right now. Say what you will. He may be a rotten SOB off the field.
Yeah.
But he
When he
wins.
gets on the field, he wins, and he wins championships.
Hey, listen, he was close to leaving Utah and coming to Notre Dame, and he met with them. And I think he kind of said, he was on Lou Holtz's staff in the 90s, so he knows
Mhm.
all about Notre Dame. Urban's a Catholic boy. He likes Notre Dame, right? And he met with them and he said, I know how you guys do it. And if you're not going to let me do what it takes to win. My wife likes the warm weather. We're getting on the plane and we're out of here. And they said, well, then you can go. And then that was that. And then with Fickle was in the mix when they hired Freeman. If it wasn't going to be him, Fickle was a really highly thought of name. But it's just a little dangerous from an outsider looking in at your situation. What I see is, I understand the pain of not winning that one game, but the recruiting is still really, really good, really, really strong every year, very, very strong.
But that's not all Ryan Day.
You
That's
look
not
at
all.
Hartline, you look at Larry Johnson, you look at Alford. These guys are having a major impact in that recruiting game. It's not just Ryan Day who's bringing these guys in.
Notre Dame losing Tony Alford hurt me so much, man. He was like our best recruiter under Kelly, one of the only guys that was grinding and making moves. It really hurt us to lose Alford. It really, really did. But it's just a little dangerous when I see that you're still winning a lot of games and the recruiting's still so high to be like, maybe we'd be better off without this guy. You just don't know what you're going to get. That's all I'm saying. It's dangerous.
Think
Two
we can
things.
stress out?
Yeah, right, yeah. Bring sweater vest back. Two things. Number one, this is a little inside baseball for you. Luke Fickell left Ohio State, his alma mater, where he coached with Tressel, Urban. He left because he was told he needed to get head coaching experience if he was to one day be the head coach at Ohio State. He left. Urban stepped down. Gene Smith never even called him for an interview. Ryan took that personally. He's at Wisconsin today because I think Luke Fickell, if we were to lose and Gene calls him and says, Luke, we need you to come home, I don't think Luke even takes the phone call.
Just another great Gene Smith decision there.
Yeah. I don't think he even takes the phone call. He's never going to publicly say it, but I'm telling you, man, that was when Gene didn't even pick up the phone call to say, hey, we're leaning to Ryan Day, but I owe it to you to come in and for an interview. Wow me. He didn't even give him the shot.
Yeah. Now,
that's low, man.
Yeah, that's rough. And then the other thing in my mind from your guys' perspective, I'm sure this is on your mind as well, is, you had some turnover on your roster and you're going to have a first-year quarterback and all that stuff. Like, what is like, when you're looking at that pressure of already with those 2 losses to Michigan, and then now you're going in it with a younger quarterback and kind of rebuilding a little bit of that, that's got to be uncomfortable too. Like, and so what are you thinking about that? To me, it looks like it would even favor Michigan more than it did the last 2 years, because you don't have that quarterback play you're going to get. Am I wrong or what?
You're not wrong. Here's the thing.
I don't know, though.
Dude, I do not like this.
Stroud would never sack up and run against Michigan, though. These guys might.
So we've got 2 5-stars sitting there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're 5 stars. If you're a 5-star, you should be pretty good. And here's the thing that gives me hope. Ryan Day has yet to develop a really good quarterback. He's done a great job, beginning with Haskins, Fields, on the CJ Stroud. All 3 of them were first-round draft picks. All 3 of them he personally developed.
Yeah, but how long did it take for that to kick in? Because you don't even have 1 full year to be able to give one of these guys. You need it now, damn it, against us and then against them. There is no time for that.
Haskins was 1 year. Fields was 1 year. CJ Stroud just didn't happen. But here's the thing. McCord's been here for 2 years already. This is his 3rd year. He's a redshirt sophomore. If he hasn't been developing behind the scenes, then what the heck have you been doing?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, I mean, I'm not as worried about that, John, as I am our offensive tackles, man. Yeah. If I don't care who you have back there. If you've got no time to throw the football, I don't care how great our receivers are. If we cannot block up front, we are screwed. And at the spring game, and I know you shouldn't take everything, take the spring game with a grain of salt. I understand that. But my gosh, we had zero time to throw the football, and we were just doing a 4-man rush up front every down, and
Under
it
2
was
seconds each
horrendous.
one, Eric.
Less than 2 seconds to
Less
throw
than
the
2
football
seconds.
every snap. We counted. Chris and I sat there and counted the entire second half, and we looked at each other, and they're taking out all the first stringers, right, on the defense and receive, and they leave the first string offensive line in because it's like,
oh, wait. You got to explain this to me. I don't understand this. You guys are in the top 5 or 3 in recruiting every damn year. So is it just like they're spread out in classes where guys aren't ready, or
they're all wide
They're
receivers.
all wide
Or do we
receivers.
have
We've got a room full of 5-star receivers. We've got a
That's
few
what I
great
was gonna
running backs.
ask.
We got a couple quarterbacks, all skill positions. Nobody to move anybody.
That was the next thing I was going to ask is, or does it just seem to me it's all skill talent, but the guy's going to be on his back before you could get him the ball, to the skill talent?
Former offensive coach Greg Strudaro, who I like, Coach Stud. I like Coach Stud.
Coach
Met him, had a laugh with him, told him I had 3 years of eligibility left, and I don't know if he was joking, but he said, you should come down. We need you. And I thought, oh boy, that's not a good sign, right? He's gone, right? But he's kind of done a little bit of the Kelly to us. He left the cupboard a little dry on the offensive line. And we had really good offensive linemen last year, but we only had 5 of them. We were incredibly blessed that they stayed healthy last year.
Yeah.
Now that those guys have all gone, we're really good up front, center guards. We're good. We're going to have a good push up the middle. But on the outsides, when it comes to pass blocking, boy, I'm scared to death.
Man, it's just that's not what you want to hear when we're talking the whole time about you got to get over this Michigan up and do all that. Like it just seems like it just doesn't line up the way I would want it to for them to lose. So I don't know, but there is the whole season yet for that to come together and you guys to settle in. And they always say offensive lines have to gel. Like maybe that'll all come together. But that's a big question I have is, you got all that elite recruiting. It's just all wide receiver depth or what?
But we don't actually have a whole season, John, because we don't play Michigan's schedule.
Yeah.
We actually have you guys early. We've got a
Wisconsin.
quality schedule.
We go to Madison, Wisconsin this year, in Luke's house this year. We're playing this. Listen to this. This is crazy. This is the first time this has happened since the 1800s. Yeah. We play 6 road games this year. Games.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, breaking in a new quarterback on the road. We come to the state of Indiana 3 times. Yeah. we're going to get comfortable with Route 70 West.
Breaking in a new quarterback on the road may not be a bad thing.
It might not.
Because the Bluebirds aren't going to be out.
Yep. John, what else you got for us, man? We're in overtime. We usually go to 9 o'clock. Hit me with another good one. This is fun.
Man, all right. Let's talk about our game a little bit. All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
Us each. All right. Like we could crap on Michigan together all the time. And I'm down for that whenever you guys want, by the way. How is your fan base approaching that game, generally speaking? Is it little old Notre Dame? We're going to go over there and pound them. Is it, I just want to know from your fans, what are they thinking and feeling about Notre Dame? Is it just like little old Notre Dame, or is there actual concern that you got to win this game, or is it like an overthought and they're like, we're going to go over there and win, no big deal? Just wondering where you guys think your fans are at.
It's a quiet confidence. There's not a ton of trash talking on our side right now. And when you get beat by your rival 2 years in a row, it's hard to talk trash. So there's a quiet confidence about the trip to South Bend. Recent history tells us that we've done really well. Recruiting rankings tell us that we've done better. Coaching experience says, again, we've got that. Yeah. But we saw last year in game number 1, we didn't play a very good game. And it went okay, but now we got to go to your house. I know that that's a hot ticket. I've priced them babies out. I think there's a quiet confidence. I don't nearly.
Bucknut will be there. Price don't matter for him. He's going to be there. Right on that NBC. They're going to zoom right in my building. They're going to zoom right in on him. I'm already mad.
Let's throw it up one more time. Chris, what do you think? I think there's a quiet confidence in that game from Ohio State fans.
I think there is, just because, like we said, our expectation is that we're going to win every game. That is just our expectation. Call us spoiled, call us whatever you want. That is our expectation. And I think that Marcus Freeman, rather, he's still got we still got a little vitriol over what he had said last year. Say what you will, you can come out and try to backstep it all you want. You dogged the program you came from. And
wait, you guys gotta
we have no forgiveness.
You gotta understand that he feels the obligation to defend where he's at now. Come on, you're digging for reasons to get worked up. You're digging.
I am not digging for reasons. You guys practice forgiveness. We don't practice forgiveness, and we do not forget. We do not forget.
He is.
We want to go over there. We want to find Marcus Freeman. We want to stomp a mud hole on him and walk it dry.
Yeah.
Here's John. Here's this. If we go into South Bend and you guys win, and then we go to Ann Arbor and we lose again, you know what this fan base is going to start saying.
That's territory there for sure. And on the flip side, man, Notre Dame fans, we got to see more this year. Like, we're looking for we need to start winning these big games. I mentioned the struggle to land the elite of the elite talent. Well, if you're not going to be able to go recruit them first and then win with them, the only other way to do it is reverse engineer it. Win your biggest game somehow, some way with what you got, enough to entice guys to answer the phone, make an extra trip to visit South Bend and all that. So something's got to give there. Notre Dame's got the big three, the same big three we had last year. You guys, USC, and Clemson. That is a big, big three. Three big names, three teams that are expected to win or be right up there to win their conferences. Like, Notre Dame fans want to see some big game winning this year, and it all starts with you guys. Like, that is going to be the directional arrow for both of our years, I believe, as long as neither of us does anything dumb leading up to it. All right? But that is a huge arrow for both of us. It's going to be a big moment, both ways.
Years ago, I went over to Notre Dame. As I said, my ex-wife's family was very big Notre Dame fans.
Is that why she's your ex-wife?
No. We'll leave that for another day. No,
I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it.
I understand.
We're done here.
But we went over to a game, and I go into the Notre Dame bookstore over there, full decked out in my OSU garb. And let me tell you, the fans were great. They were joking around, having a good time. But let me tell you, if I find a way to make it over there this year, you better believe I'm going to be bringing it.
You going to paint your face? Paint your face!
I will paint my face.
Dude,
absolutely. I will wear 6 Buckeye necklaces. I may even throw on the old Laurinaitis spikes just to rub it in.
Leave the spikes at home, okay? All right. Listen. Our fans, if anything, we are too nice. We are too hospitable to people, man. It drives me nuts how nice we are. Like, I don't want it to be like Miami when we went there in 2017. They were trying to fight us. Like, I don't want that, but we are so hospitable to the enemy. Sometimes it almost rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, we got to get a little tougher here, all right?
You can still have an edge and still have class, man. You can.
Yeah.
But I'm throwing the class out the window if I find a way there. I'm just telling you.
Last question. This was a lot of fun, John. Thank you so much.
Hey, that's my brother.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
He has a great. By the way, I love that episode you did when he came on and he tricked me. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
That split second.
He lives in South Florida. So we went down there last week for vacation. And, we're sitting there and I'm going to go on the patio and record. And he was there and I go, let's mess with people. Do the intro. We'll see if we can mess with their minds. Got me.
He wants to know who's more likely to win a title the next 3 years. Notre Dame, OSU, Michigan. We'll go around the horn real fast. I'm going to say Ohio State. I think we have the better roster right now to win it. Michigan is, like I said, they're built to beat us. But look what happened at TCU. That I think that's the real team right there on a fast track. I'm going with Ohio State. Chris, who you got?
How many years is it?
Next 3 years, who's more likely
Next
to
three
win one?
years, I got to go Ohio State. I would love to. I will tell you this. I would give Notre Dame fans hope. I would say within the next 3 to 5, they should be contending. Give Freeman time to get a roster in there that he can develop. But in the next 3 years, I got to say Ohio State.
Yeah. All right. So if you're going to ask me, I'm going to break this down a little bit even more. Good question by my brother. Thanks for tuning in, Andrew. Over the next 3 years, probably Ohio State because of the consistency of that recruiting that I like. For this next year, I think it's clearly Michigan since they play a 2-game season. You
They
got to
did that last
account
year
for
though
that.
too.
You got to account for that. Skating all the way into November, playing nobody but junior high, and then they play Penn State and you guys. It couldn't be an easier way to try and get into this field. If it's this next year, I'm going to go with them because they have the fewest stumbling blocks to get there. So I'd go you guys overall in the next 3. But for this next year, I'm picking Michigan, Notre Dame third, but not like, oh, we're terrible. But I still recognize this roster needs a lot of work. Okay. Like, I need to get another cycle or 2 of Freeman's recruiting and development in there. We're still trying to fill holes and build quality depth a lot of areas. And it's just not, I know what I see, and I know what I see in the playoffs, and I know what we look like, and we're just not there yet as far as an overall roster and the depth. Now, here's the other issue with this. When we get into the 12-teamer, I think having really good quality depth is going to be a bigger deal than it is now because that is going to be a gauntlet, and you're going to play a string of top 10-ish teams in a row. You got to have some guys because you're going to be dinged and beat up, and you're going to have high quality depth. And so that's something Notre Dame needs to build more of as well. Check back with me in a couple more recruiting cycles. Let me see the development. CJ Carr coming in, a Michigan guy, by the way, there. See, do you know how happy I was when Lloyd Carr was hugging his grandson with that Notre Dame hat on? That was beautiful. I loved it. So it was beautiful. I was trolling all the Michigan people. But I want to see Freeman get one of his young quarterbacks in and developed and see how that goes. And so we're just not there yet. So that's how I see that. But this year, Michigan has the inside track simply by the math. They only played 2 games. So whatever.
But they only played 2 last year, and TCU made him look foolish. I mean, it was a close game, but TCU made him look foolish.
Yeah. All right. Hey, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, John. You've got a big event coming up there in South Bend. Tell everybody about how if you're, hey, even if you're a Buckeye fan, you can still go out there and throw some bags at this event, man. I think it's great.
Yeah, listen, I talk all the time on my show about needing Notre Dame to get more modern with NIL. It's a must-have. It's not optional. Notre Dame has to do that to compete. And so through my stuff I'm doing, I have partnered with a memorabilia dealer in Crown Point, Indiana, kind of in between South Bend and Chicago, a good location in the middle there. And we're having Sam Hartman's first public NIL autograph signing since he's joined Notre Dame on Sunday, July 9th. And I'm going to be kind of the sponsor of the event. So been promoting it, going to meet and greet with the people in the line when we're waiting, play some bags, talk Notre Dame, all of that. And it's a really good opportunity for me to put my action where my mouth is. I'm all about supporting NIL and Notre Dame. Now I have a chance to bring people to the event, drive people to the event, welcome this guy to town. And it's kind of the way I look at it is kind of the start of the ramp up into camp. We'll be past 4th of July, getting into, mid-July. And then when you get to August, it really takes off. So it's going to be a great event. ForeverYoungSportsCards.com. Go there, get your tickets, all the information about it. Listen, I looked on that website. They have Ohio State guys do signings there all the time. So They are not just Notre Dame. He's got everything. And there's a lot of Ohio State guys that come through there. So if you're in that area, look into it. And there'll be something for Ohio State fans. Maybe not this event, but they do have Ohio State guys often.
That's awesome. Hey, I know the week of the game you're going to be having some stuff. Let's talk about collaborating. Maybe we can do some shows together.
Yeah.
Have a fun week that week. That'd be a lot of fun. I'm game if you are, John.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm even thinking that week, I do my morning radio shows. I might even just go live again every night that week leading into the game because it'll be popping. Like there will be people on both sides. Let's do that. We'll set it up where I'll come on yours, you come on mine. We'll do that for sure.
Awesome.
But yeah, this was fun, you guys. This is great. We could do this all night. I love it.
I'm going to end this show with Donald Hoffer's comment because it's exactly how I feel. John, thank you for coming on. Good luck this season, except for one game.
Hey, listen, as far as I'm concerned, we're mostly brothers here with the Michigan shared hatred. It makes me feel good that we're bonding on that. Like we're on the same page there.